This is a $1 billion mistake. It began with a few exotic pets bought by the ultra-rich, and it ended with the state of Florida being permanently invaded. They turned the Everglades into a jungle, and you will not believe what is now hunting on millionaires' lawns. Forget about alligators. This is about what happens when greed and exotic pets collide with hurricanes. In this video, we will show you giant lizards literally falling out of the sky, and we will reveal the hidden colony of monkeys carrying a deadly human virus that has permanently taken over a U.S. state park. This is the terrifying story of how Florida unleashed jungle animals and why the Burmese python, a creature that eats alligators for lunch, is now the true apex predator of the Sunshine State. Get ready, because the invasion is just getting started. And quickly, before we begin, leave a like and subscribe to learn more adversities and facts about different places around the world. And let's continue. To understand how Florida became a battleground against the jungle, we need to go back to an event that had nothing to do with reptiles, but everything to do with greed. The problem started where money meets eccentricity. You see those mansions in Miami and Palm Beach? They are not just symbols of wealth. They were the marketplace for the global exotic pet trade. People with money who wanted the ultimate status symbol did not just want a Tesla. They wanted a tiger, a chimpanzee, or, crucially, an exotic and expensive Burmese python. They were the perfect customers for exotic animal breeders who settled in South Florida, attracted by the subtropical climate and loose zoning laws. Invasive species are expensive, very expensive. Globally, the economic cost has surpassed $400 billion per year, and in North America, according to the article, Economic Costs of Biological Invasions Within North America, found in Neobiota, annual costs reached over $26 billion in the last decade. In this context, Florida, the ground zero of invasions, spends millions of dollars annually just on management and control. But in 1992, this bubble burst. It was not a financial crash. It was Hurricane Andrew, a Category 5 storm that devastated South Florida. Andrew did not just destroy homes and businesses. It destroyed nurseries and cages that held thousands of exotic animals. This was not the only source, but it was the spark. The rest came from what we call the millionaire's pet effect. Someone buys a cute 12-inch python hatchling. It is adorable. But 1 year later, it is 10 feet long, needs an entire rabbit for dinner, and can kill your pet in the blink of an eye. What does a wealthy but irresponsible owner do? They do not return it to the store. They release it into the Everglades, the giant swamp conveniently close to everything. And what happens when you unleash a jungle creature into a subtropical swamp full of water, heat, and with no natural predators to hunt it? You create an ecosystem monster. The state of Florida already spends about $45 million annually just to manage invasive species in conservation areas, and that is only for control. To protect endangered species that the python loves to eat, like the Key Largo woodrat and the wood stork, federal and state agencies spent over $100 to $2 million on recovery efforts in 1 decade. The Burmese python, an animal native to Southeast Asia, found its paradise in South Florida, especially in the vast and untouched Everglades National Park. Here is what people need to understand. The Everglades is the perfect refuge. It is a giant, hot, humid swamp, and crucially, a slow-moving river of grass that flows to the sea. It is filled with rabbits, opossums, raccoons, birds, and even small deer. It is a buffet, and the Burmese python is one of the most efficient predators on the planet. For the python, the alligator, Florida's native top predator, is just an obstacle and, many times, a meal. Yes, you heard that right. Giant pythons swallow alligators whole. The silent collapse of the ecosystem. The damage is not just scary, It is catastrophic. Scientists have found evidence that in some central areas of the Everglades, native mammal populations have dropped by more than 90%. Imagine a forest where 9 out of every 10 raccoons, opossums, and rabbits simply disappeared. The ecosystem is silently collapsing. This affects every level of the food chain, from scavenging birds to larger predators that depend on those mammals. And every year, female pythons usually have between 30 and 60 eggs, though they can reach up to 100. This guarantees that the invasion never stops. It is exponential growth that Florida cannot contain. Florida's only line of defense against this invasive monster is not soldiers. It is hunters. To try to control the situation, the state created the Python Challenge, where trained python hunters are paid to find and remove them. It has become a high-risk sport, but also a desperate business. A hunter can earn thousands of dollars, not just for the time spent, but for each python captured, especially the largest ones. There are stories of pythons longer than 16 feet and weighing over 130 pounds being found in backyards and under bridges. This is the final proof that money and wildlife are directly connected. Greed created the problem, and now, money is one of the only ways to fight it. If you thought giant pythons were the worst, wait until you see what happens when Florida has a really cold day. And yes, Florida gets cold. Not cold enough to kill invasive species, just cold enough to cause chaos. We are talking about green iguanas. They should not be here. But again, they were introduced through the exotic pet trade. They love wealthy suburbs. They eat expensive garden flowers and damage rooftops. They have become a costly pest. And here is the bizarre part. When the temperature drops below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the iguanas living in trees enter a state of torpor. Basically, a cold coma. And then, they simply fall. Thousands of iguanas, the size of a cat, rain down from palm trees. They are not dead, but they are paralyzed. Americans get shocked when the lizard rain appears on the news. It is bizarre and dangerous at the same time. And it is 100% caused by human irresponsibility. Now let's talk about the quietest and potentially the deadliest threat. The colony of rhesus monkeys at Silver Springs State Park. These monkeys were brought to Florida for a movie back in the 1930s, or for tests, depending on the source, which adds mystery. And as always, they escaped. They reproduced. And now there are hundreds of them. The problem is that a large percentage of these monkeys carry herpes B virus. In humans, this virus can be fatal if not treated quickly, causing brain swelling. The government tries to control the population, but the monkeys are smart and hard to capture. Every year, the risk of an infected rhesus monkey biting a curious tourist grows. It is rare for the virus to pass from monkey to human, but it is completely possible. The disaster is not limited to land. If you dive in the waters of Miami, Key West, or Florida's coral reefs, you will find another monster, the lionfish. With bright colors and venomous spines, the lionfish, native to the Indian and Pacific Oceans, is an insatiable predator. Again, they came here as aquarium pets and were dumped. They have no natural predators in the Atlantic and eat all the small fish that keep reefs healthy. They are destroying coral reefs that Florida spends millions protecting. Beyond control costs, Florida also loses an average of $179 million per year in agricultural losses due to invasive plants, animals, and diseases. The lionfish threatens fishing and tourism industries that move billions of dollars in Florida. The absence of tourism because of snakes or the collapse of fishing because of lionfish are the silent costs that add up to that $1 billion total. Florida sells itself as paradise. And it certainly has huge benefits and beauty. But freedom without responsibility has a price. The final irony of the Sunshine State is that its own wild nature, which should be protected, is being destroyed by creatures that are only here because of the greed of a few. The Burmese python, the lionfish, and the rhesus monkeys are a living reminder you can't play with nature and not face the consequences. The $1 billion mistake of Florida is only symbolic. According to the same study, economic costs of biological invasions within North America that I mentioned earlier, the real cost is much higher. But the true problem is the irreversible loss of the ecosystem. And until some Floridians change the way they handle animal exoticism, the invasion will not stop. And you? Which of these invasive animals in Florida did you find the most shocking? If you enjoyed this exploration of hidden truth, click subscribe for more hidden secrets. And, still interested in Florida? It is not only problems. It has many cool and interesting things too. On screen, there is a video about 30 facts about Florida. Click and watch.